It's Saturday, July 13th, 1991. You are a teenage girl in high school, studying for your final high school exams in a few months. As is the school routine, you have gone for night preps with your classmates. At around 8 p.m., there was a blackout. As usual, you wait with your classmates for a few minutes, then you head back to the dorm and call it a night. At around 10 p.m., chaos erupts. Male students are angry and charged, chanting war songs and hurling insults. Then you remember they had planned a strike. Due to fear, all the girls ran to one dorm. A dorm that was designed to host 70 girls now had more than 200 girls. You try to barricade the door with beds and boxes. Stones start raining down. Then, an eerie silence. The boys walk away. At around 1 a.m., the boys come back, this time determined to access the dorm. As they tried to push, you and your fellow girls were screaming, calling for help, praying, begging the boys not to harm you. Finally, they get access. They dragged the girls close to the door, took them to the field, and repeatedly raped them. Their screams for help go unanswered. It is a night of utter distress and panic. At around 6 a.m., the police came. The horror is evident. 19 girls dead and 71 raped. It is a night of terror and fear. Today, it's 34 years later and counting since this massacre happened at St. Kizito High School in Meru. But to survivors, it's still freshly etched in their memories, like it just happened, still haunting their lives every single day. My name is Agutu Rosa, and this is a special report, St. Kizito 1991 Massacre. The bizarre incident left the country in utter disbelief. At no point did anyone think that a group of teenage boys could turn against their female peers by repeatedly raping them and causing their death through suffocation and injuries just because they were not satisfied with the school's administration. But was there more? To understand this story deeper, I had to go down the corridors of history that led me to the Standard Group's library, where I went through the old newspapers that were published when the story happened. Salome Mutua and Patrick Maithima were in Form 4 in St. Kizito when the incident happened. The night is still fresh in Salome Mutua's mind.
Hiyo siku tulienda prep jioni, tukakaa kitu kama saa 2 hivi. Saa 1:30 saa 2, wakati sasa giza imeteremka kabisa. Ndio sasa tukaona stima zimesimwa. Kukawa hakuna stima, tukastuka tukauliza hala, kwani imeenda off aje? Tukasikia majowe kwa klasi zingine watu wakitoka mbio. Tukauliza nini shida, tulikuwa tunafikiria ni ile kupotea kwa stima ya kawaida. Kumbe kulikuwa na plan wamekata stima. Ndio sasa tukakimbia dormitory. Hatukuwa tunajua kama tunaweza hata kuwa na kushikwa vijana kushika wasichana. Sababu tulikuwa tunasoma kama brothers na sisters. Ndio sasa tukakimbia dormitory. Bahati mzuri dormitory mlango ulikuwa umefunguliwa. Watchman wakatoroka, sijui alitorokea wapi. Wengine kuna wenye walitorokea teachers quarter, sababu walimu kuna walimu wachache walikuwa nalala shule. Sasa tukaingia dormitory. Bahati mbaya kuliko tuteremke kwa sababu tulikuwa dormitory 2. Kuliko tuende hiyo ingine ya chini. Hii ilikuwa ilikuwa imefunguliwa, tukakimbia. Sisi zote tukaingia. Sasa mwanafunzi yeyote alikuwa anataka kuenda mbali kabisa na mlango.
The dorm had 2 doors. They locked one and used one to allow girls who were still outside to get in. Then they locked all the doors.
Wote tulikuwa tunakimbia tuende mwisho. Ndio sasa wakati vijana wakiingia usipatikane na wao. Unaopa kuwa raped. Sasa tukakimbia tukaenda huko chini. Lakini wale wote walienda wakalala chini, wenye walikuwa juu ya kitanda. Sababu wengine walikuwa wanajirusha tu. Hawakuwa wanajua kama kutakuwa na hatari ya vitanda kutokana. Ndio sasa wale walikuwa wanajirusha huko walifanya wengine wakufe. Sababu kitanda kilikuwa kinatoka hivi na kilikuwa na kachuma chapu. Kale kalikuwa nakaingishwa kwa kitanda. Inafinya mtu kabisa, inadunga kama kisu.
During the attack, the boys broke in the dorm and were able to pick some girls, take them to the field and rape them mercilessly.
Saa 12 ndio askari walikuwa nakuja na ujue nini Ngondone police station si mbali sana na shule. Na nafikiri hata hiyo mayowe ilikuwa imepigwa na walimu huko na watchman pia walikuwa labda na kasimu wakapigiwa. Walikuwa reluctant. Wangekimbia watu wangekufa sana. Sasa pia askari hapo hawakufanya vizuri sana. Mmoja alikuja akaenda kwa hiyo dormitory, watu walikufia akialilia. Alilia machozi yenyewe.
Salome is haunted by the memories of her close friends.
Wengi. Hata mmoja ni wa kanisa yangu. Anaitwa tulikuwa tunamuita Karambu. Ni rafiki ni neighbor. Hapana Viola Karambu alikuwa akidhi, lakini mwingine tulikuwa tunamuita Karambu hapa Karambu Kidhure. Tulikuwa tunamuita Jeni Karambu. Mimi siwezi nikakumbuka hiyo sasa hapo.
To understand the veracity of what really happened, we need to go back in time. Mr. James Libon had just reported to the institution as the new principal. His arrival, however, had been met with dissatisfaction from the student quarters. He started receiving secret flyers on his doorsteps with threatening messages. One saying, "We are not happy." Another, "There will be possible bloodshed." And another one, "We will rejoice if the principal died." But what would trigger the unrest at St. Kizito were seemingly simple demands. The students demanded to start eating eggs from the school's poultry farm and milk from its dairy farm. When these demands were ignored, the boys grew restless. The principal reported the tension to the police, but the matter appears to have been dismissed. 2 months later, he met with the school prefects, assuring them their requests will be met. But when nothing changed, frustration turned into violence. Fueled by anger, the boys stormed the girls' dorms. A former student later revealed that the attack was more than just a protest. It had other issues to it. Vengeance. The boys believed some teachers had romantic ties with the girls and justified their actions with a chilling claim, "If the teachers can have them, why not us?" Later, we meet a former student leader, who we will call Mary. Too afraid to be seen on camera, she recalls that night. Despite her own fear, younger students clung to her for safety, forcing her to be their pillar of strength in the face of horror.
I just held them, trying to comfort them and to quiet them, but still they were now, the boys outside, they were forcing themselves inside. And then some girls, and to close the doors, they pushed the beds on the first door and even to the farthest door. But unfortunately, they hit the doors with very heavy stones, very big ones. And the doors broke. And from where I was, I could see now them coming in and going out, dragging girls, taking them outside.
In the morning, The police finally came. The villagers were also around. Parents worried about the whereabouts of their children. That is when Mary was able to walk out of the dorm. She found vehicles outside taking the girls to the hospital. There were bodies being loaded on the vehicles.
So I went and then entered there waiting for them so that I could pick, and then I could pick and then take them in. So I was being helped by someone. I could see this is so and so, this is so and so, but I thought they had fainted. So I rushed them in. We being helped by someone. Tunamshika, tunampeleka. Tukimpeleka, sijui the doctors, the nurses walikuwa wanampima, wanamweka kando. Then I was wondering, anawekwa kando hapa apei ndawa.
Form 4 girls were taken to Kahaga girls. The Form 4 boys were taken to Kangaroo boys, where they sat for their final exams. The others were distributed to other schools in Meru. Counseling was never an option, but Mary says that there was trauma.
They didn't find really like counselors. I didn't find kind of support. Yes, because we were just taken there. For a few days we were prepared for the exams. We were kept in one classroom. And also it was not easy to maybe to mix with other students. So there was that kind of trauma.
Patrick Maithima, who was also in Form 4 in 1991, claims that he did not participate in the strike because he was unwell. That evening, when the lights went out, he went to the men's dorm to sleep. He woke up in the morning when the police were already there.
Kufika dorm za wasichana, nikakuta watu wakiwa nalia. Nikauliza ni nini? Huyu Salome akaniambia, "Hey, watu wamekufa." Nikamwambia, "Wacha." Nikasema ni uongo. Nikamwambia mwalimu, "Idhaa hapana, lazima niende nikaone." Nikakimbia dorm za kina mama. Kwani nikakuta damu.
On whether there was counseling, Patrick says that nobody considered it important during that period.
Hakuwa na kitu kama counseling. Counseling haikuwa. Mtu alikuwa anajipanga na mzazi yake akimwambia hivi, unafanya hivyo. Hakuwa na counseling. Mzazi alikuwa anakuambia, wewe fanya hivi, ndio utafuatia. Hakuwa na counseling. Counseling imekuja juzi bwana.
We tried reaching out to one of the former students who participated in the strike and served a jail term, but he told us he did not want to talk about it. Another former student, who chose not to be interviewed on TV, said that he was a day scholar. However, since the police were looking for all the boys in the school, he was advised to hide.
ID President Moi was coming. Kukuja ndio sasa tukaendelea kuingia msituni zaidi. Sababu sasa tuliona na maaskari nao tukaeleza wamejaa kila mahali. Mpaka hata wasosi walikuwa wanaojiwa wanapigwa.
After 2 days, they came out of the bush because all students were needed in the school by the investigative officers.
Si ndio akaletwa. Si ni kuondoa sasa one by one. Huko umekodelewa macho. Tukaelezea vile sisi hii huwa nasoma naenda nyumbani. Hadi nipata sikuulizwa maswali mengi. Nikaanza waenda huko.
As fate would have it, while we were finishing this audio interview, another former student walks by and recognizes the man we were interviewing. During their small talk, we mention we are doing a story about St. Kizito. Then he tells us he was a former student who was there during the strike and served 2.5 years in jail. He says that he was expelled from 2 schools before joining St. Kizito. During the strike, he had been at St. Kizito for only 3 weeks, and he still maintains he was not involved in the strike.
when the strike, I was there. Unfortunately, mimi niliwekwa pingu. I was in Form 2. Mimi nilienda Ngereza hata for 2.5 years for crimes that I never committed.
After a police investigation, 39 students were charged with rape and murder. The trial lasted a year. On July 30th, 1991, the accused were photographed outside a Meru court, smiling. Their expression showed no remorse. Meanwhile, their victims, once their classmates, their sisters, lay in hospital beds, their faces ached with trauma, their lives forever changed. A few days after the incident, a Standard Group reporter, Rafael Cahaso, who covered the horror when it happened, visited the hospital where the girls were admitted. When they woke up from sedation, writhing in pain and remembering what had happened, they started screaming, and nurses had to sedate them again. It has been 34 years and counting since the horror happened. We are heading to St. Kizito. The school has since changed its name to St. Cyprian, perhaps to shed off the old dark chapters. It's a nostalgic journey that defined their teen lives and adult lives. A school that was once like a home to them now was just filled with traumatic memories.
Tukakimbia, tukakuta dormitory ikiwa imefunguliwa. Bahati mzuri mimi nilikuwa nalala hii. Ndio tukaingia na kufinyana. Tulikuwa na mfinyana sababu mtu alikuwa anakimbia tu ndio alikuwa akiingia ndio atakuwa safe. Tulikimbia, mimi nilikimbia mpaka kokona. Sasa nikakuta kuna wasichana wenzangu, wanafunzi wengine walikuwa wamelala chini ya kitanda. Sababu vitanda vilikuwa kitanda moja pande hii, kingine pande hii. Sasa vilikuwa vitanda 4. Zilikuwa zimesongeshwa huko. Wakalala chini. Wengine wakalala juu ya kitanda ya chini, wengine wakalala kitanda ya juu, na hizo vitanda zote zilikuwa zimejaa, walikuwa wamelala wote na kulikuwa kuna finyana pia.
We meet a former teacher, Mr. Stephen Mushena.
He got a shock of the day when students were traveled from St. Kizito to Meru School for sports. They had not paid their dues for sports. So they were chased away. They went back now angry that they didn't participate and they had paid. So when they came back, it was a real difficult situation.
Mr. Mushena believes that the anger the boys harbored had to be channeled somewhere. Unfortunately, it was towards the girls.
The boys raped the girls because of their fear of being raped. Some ran through the double-deckers. And when I ran through a double-decker, you know it breaks down. When it breaks down, then anybody at the bottom would be hate terribly.
Following the sad happenings, teachers at St. Kizito were transferred to different schools, and there were even more far-reaching consequences. From that point, an education policy was introduced proposing the abolishment of mixed boarding schools across the country. Adriano Aruyaru is the chairman of the Meru's Njurinsheke Council of Elders.
Hatukusikia usiku, lakini asubuhi tulipokuwa tunaenda kanisani, because hapo ndio tulikuwa tunaenda kanisani, kanisa ya Catholic, ndio tulikuta askari wengi sana. Na tukauliza ni nini ilitokea. Tukaambiwa watoto wamekufa, na hiyo siku ilikuwa siku mbaya sana. Since 1913, wakati mzungu alikuja, ama missionary wa kwanza alikuja hapo, hakuwa na siku ingine ya Jumapili ambaye watu hawakuhudhuria misa. We were even thinking of, kama wasee, tuende hapo we cleanse that place, lakini unajua naye ni kanisa, ni shule ya kanisa. Inakuwa ngumu sana kuenda pale na kufanya kienyeji because the church does not believe in some of the traditions.
One would wonder where the students who were involved in the strike are.
Majority of them hata wamekufa wengi, hata wale walienda wakaajiriwa kazi. Wengine unaona mtu anatoka anakataa kazi anaenda. Wamekufa wengi. Because actually hata wale walifungwa, I think up to now ni kama 2 ama 3 wako hai. Wamekufa wengi. Na ukiwaona sio watu wazuri. Na maybe those who are alive, unajua ni vile uwezi ukasemea mtu ambaye mkuu naye. Maybe those who are alive hawakuhusika sana na hayo mambo.
I see majority of them have reprimanded. Majority of them have been cast as outcasts by the society, and many more. Even the girls that remained, they are still under phobia. You know, when they see men, they see the men who wanted to rape them.
Father Benedict Kaburu of Meru Diocese was part of the committee that was formed to look into the horrific attack.
From that moment of our meeting together, we came up with the idea of separating the institution to have girls separated from boys. And the consequence, we started the St. Angela's Girls Secondary School, and then we left boys under the name St. Cyprian, which was cut off from St. Kizito.
Father Kaburu says that the community was very angry during that time. To prevent deaths and injuries during such incidents, rules were put to ensure students in boarding schools were safe. During the trial, prosecution was unable to link the students to the 19 deaths. There was no motive to kill them, so the charges were reduced to manslaughter and rape. 10 students were sent to jail. Willie Kuria is the current chairman of the Kenya Secondary School Heads Association. He says for the safety of the learners, there must be enough doors on both ends of the dormitory and at the middle.
Again, the windows, there should be no grills. The windows should not have grills so that, again, the runners can be able to move out quickly in case of maybe fire or any other calamity. And again, there is the congestion.
The beds should be at least 1.2 meters away from one another. The corridors between the dormitories should be wide enough, approximately 2 meters, so that the learners again can be able to exit fast.
I think, there are sometimes the stairs. There should be lamps because stairs sometimes are challenging in case we have runners with challenges, physical challenges.
There are key points about boarding school safety in Kenya. Physical infrastructure. Buildings should be well maintained. Every dormitory should have multiple emergency exits. Trained security personnel should patrol the school grounds with CCTV cameras in key areas. Boarding staff should actively monitor student behavior. Students and staff should be encouraged to report any safety concerns. All students and staff should be familiar with emergency evacuation procedures. Schools should have access to counseling services to address student mental health concerns. The traumatic effects of such an incident live through the minds for decades. Clinical psychologist Jacqueline Gatho says that one is ready to process the trauma when they are ready to talk about it. Gatho talks about the feelings of shame that come with rape cases.
Trauma affects our sense of identity. You've been robbed of your freedom of expression. You've been robbed of your authenticity to express yourself. When you go for therapy, you're reminded that you're not under threat anymore. You don't have to keep looking out, like someone is behind you. you do not have to keep being overly defensive or overly protective of yourself because you're not under threat anymore.
Gadu says trauma affects one's sense of identity. What are some of the healthy coping mechanisms? Gadu talks about taking advantage of the 5 senses.
Touch. So place your hand on the chest. You can reaffirm yourself and say that I am feeling okay. I am feeling okay. Sight. You can dim the lights. You can read a book. You can color. You can doodle. Sound. You can listen to nature. You can listen to birds singing. You can listen to trees, swaying back and forth. You can listen to water flowing. You can listen to your favorite music. Taste. Now, comfort food. Here we go. If you like chocolates, of course, we're not advocating indulging in junk food all the time. But if at that moment in time you feel like a bite of chocolate will help, or a bite of ice cream or cookies, go for it.
34 years later, the women still bear invisible scars. They strive to lead normal lives, while their perpetrators, now men in their 50s, walk free. Some villagers claim that many of them died or lost their sanity, but others remain among them. They are now husbands, fathers, colleagues, just blending into society. For the survivors, that night of terror is a wound that never fully heals, one they wish to forget, but can never erase. Agutu, Rosa, KTN.